Plenty of time. How are you? Good. No, I think we're 3 for quorum, right?
Huh?
Should be 3 people for quorum.
Double check.
Sure. All right, it is 5 o'clock, so I will call this meeting to order. We will start out with attendance, sorry. Alder Flicky-Paneski.
Here.
Alder Perella.
Here.
Alder Ackley.
Here.
Alder Feldy.
Here.
Alder Mitchell's president. We have all 5 here. If you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we will move past introductions, and I will just forewarn everybody in attendance today. I just got back from Minnesota, so I may be a little slow. Please bear with me. Moving on to item 3.1, the approval of the minutes. Is there any discussion on the minutes from our last meeting? Seeing none, we are looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Moving on to item 3.1, RO number 104 of 2122. Submitting a claim from Anthony Berry for alleged damages to his vehicle when he hit a pothole off of Wilgus Road.
All right, I can just speak very briefly to it. We're looking to file this. This is a claim that has been denied. The pothole wasn't even in the city street.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments? If none, we are looking for a motion to file.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion passes. On to 3.2, which is resolution number 90 of 2122. A resolution authorizing a budget transfer and appropriation in the 2021 budget to complete an interfund transfer between the Industrial Park Fund and the Tax Incremental District 18 Capital Fund approved in the 2018 budget.
Good evening. The transfer in front of you is exactly how Alder Mitchell read it. It is a transfer that should have occurred in 2018. It was budgeted. The land purchase did occur in 2018, but the TID 18 capital fund is currently negative because the transfer never happened. So this is just asking for the council's permission to make that transfer to correct that error.
Sounds like a good thing that we
Yes.
caught this.
Yes.
Any questions or comments from the committee? Alder Perella?
So this was a mistake, correct, in 2018?
Correct.
But the transfer of the funds did not impact the actual payment, obviously.
Correct. So there are enough funds in our bank account that are spread amongst other funds that another fund kind of covered that purchase. So that's why TID 18 is negative, and this industrial park fund has more money than it really should.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we are looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it, and the motion passes. Thank you. Next up is item 3.3, which is resolution number 90. Excuse me. Number 91 of 21-22, a resolution authorizing the finance director to make all necessary changes to the city's general ledger to implement the chart of accounts redesign.
Thank you. This is just bringing forward the listing of all of the funds and where the new funds will land with numbers to show the council exactly what my plan is for the chart of accounts redesign. This is a resolution that was passed several months ago, back in August, for the $40,000 to Tyler Munis in order to get this project done. We are in the process of finishing the test conversion, so it's been the last 4 days where that conversion's been taking place. So hopefully by next time I see you, I have good news on the testing being done. But this is just being transparent and letting the council know exactly the plan for how those accounts will change.
Thank you. Questions, comments, Alder
Yes.
Flicka-Paneski?
There was no charts of accounts attached to this?
It should have been attached to the resolution. It's pages 2, 3, and 4 behind the resolution.
The second attachment.
Yeah, the second.
No, the second one.
Yeah.
I think I'm on the second one, this one.
Yes.
Resolution 90-21-22, November 15.
91.
I'm working on it. Got them. Okay. They were not attached to this one, they were attached to the second one. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments, Alder Perella?
So in the attachment, there are all the changes that you need to make, right? And we as a common council don't need to do anything else in future. It's not that you will add other things that needs to be approved or not.
So this is a very high-level approval, I will say. So this is taking the funds, which is the highest portion of the accounting system, and making sure that the council is aware what fund changes are happening. So for example, 101, the general fund, will stay 101, the general fund. The CDBG money that we receive historically has been put into a new fund every year. My proposal is that we consolidate all the history into one fund and continue using the one fund moving forward. This will help with reporting purposes and just easier to manage. So that's part of the high-level version of the chart that you're seeing. Every account, all 13,750 accounts, I think it is, are getting mapped. So nearly every account will be changing. There are changes within the departments. So for example, the finance department has 3 separate lines where IT service fund charges go to. Instead, they will now be in one, and that account will now be one different number, but it will all be within the same line in the budget and in the general ledger. So this is kind of a high-level version of the changes. There will be quite a bit difference next year when you look at the budget, but this is kind of just to show you and be transparent, showing you some of the high-level changes. And then there may be a time where I have to come back for approvals, let's say if there's a fund balance change difference, or for example, the Park and Forestry Fund is currently its own item. Well, I'm actually looking to put that into the capital fund as a separate project. So instead of having 2 pots of money, it's all contained within that capital fund. So that might be where I need to come forward and ask for that money to be set aside in the fund balance. Sorry, this is really hard to talk with. To set that aside for the parks project in the future. But I didn't bring all of those changes forward now. I'm kind of just looking for a high level, I'm going in the right direction, and get that approval first.
Does that answer your question?
It does. It just I have a follow-up anyway.
By all
Thank
means.
you. It just that I don't see what is, I actually appreciate it because, I mean, I looked at them a little bit, I appreciate that, but there's nothing that I really can approve or not approve on this. I mean, how can I decide that that is approvable or not?
Sure, it would be very difficult for you to know if there's anything that you did not like that I did. I will say that I used accounting best practices and just more government accounting practice and the things that just make our our accounting structure make more sense. I'm moving the account number structure, for example, will match how the state requires us to report it. So all of these changes will be happening, but I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of some of these fund changes happening. And then from my point of view, for getting your approval so that you know what I'm doing, even if it's at a high level, then the auditors are a little bit more happy with me knowing that I at least brought forward something for approval.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah. I am understanding that we've got this many to collapse to this many. Is there a danger that you collapse too far and we need to pull it back apart?
That could be the case. So we do have this running in the test system. So as soon as Munis is done running the conversion, I will actually be sending out an email to all the departments to make sure that they go in and look at their set of accounts to make sure that we have everything that they need. And then I will be running reports and things like that out of the system to make sure that I have all the data that we need for the state report. I know Derek in Transit has some grant reporting that he needs to do, so it could definitely get broken out further if need be. But I will also say out of the 13,000 accounts, already about 6,800 of them are unused and closed. So they have some historical data that we'll say it's from probably 2010 and 2011. So even though we have to code all of that, that data will then get lumped into those new accounts. So we will have whole financial information. It's just going to be a little less broken apart.
Okay, my concern is if you over aggregate, you still have a mechanism to disaggregate?
Sure.
Okay, fine.
Any other questions or comments? If not, we are looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Then seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item 3.4, resolution number 92 of 2122. A resolution authorizing the sale of parcel number, as is printed in the agenda, to Priggy's Charter Buses Incorporated. And Chuck has not yelled at me yet, so I think that's enough of a description. So Chad, take us away.
So this is a kind of a unique situation in that this is a parcel of land that Priggy's appears to own north of the Shoreline Metro Garage on Commerce Street and Jefferson Avenue. So from what I gather, and maybe Chuck is going to provide a little bit more insight, but it appears that at one time the city owned this property, and on title searches or some kind of means, they came back to the city and said that there never was a transfer of title from the city. Is that correct?
Yeah, basically what happened is back in the 70s, we did industrial revenue bonds for local businesses because interest rates at that time were so incredibly high, and there was a great deal of benefit that could be done by the interest being done at the city rate. So what happened is at this time, the city took title to the property as part of a process in which the Priggy's borrowed money at the city rate and then paid it back to us. It's not clear that they ever fully paid us back, but nobody has ever bothered to collect on it, and it's too late to collect on it anyway. But that's why we took the property at that time. We are now selling it back to them at something less than fair market value, but also at something more than what the value of the property was in the early 70s when we took the property from them in exchange for basically borrowing money on their behalf.
So their offer is for $40,000. The property is assessed at $62,600. However, as long as back as I can go, they've always paid property taxes on this property as if they owned it. So they've made an offer to us for the 40,000, and in talking with the administrator and myself, we thought that was fair, given that technically on paper, they have owned this property and, they're a viable business in the community, so we were recommending accepting the offer of 40,000 and moving on with this situation without having to spend a ton of time trying to dig deeper to find something that we don't even know if it exists.
Fair enough. Questions or comments?
Yeah, one, please.
Alder Perala.
So first, I'm a little surprised that the city kept receiving taxes on a property that actually was not supposed to receive. I mean, I have no objection.
Well, in the
At all.
property tax records, it is owned, it does say that it's owned by them. I'm guessing we were like a co-signer and we probably had a lien against the property. Is that correct, Chuck?
Yeah, we found a lot of the data about what happened back in the 70s, and it would make sense for them to continue to pay the taxes to keep the city whole on it. The property was technically in our name. It would be more akin to a pilot agreement, but in the 70s, those didn't really exist in the way that they do now. I think part of the problem is there was some record keeping that wasn't done probably in the early 80s when this was all taken care of. And B, a lot of the way things are done today is different than was done in the 70s, so it was a little confusing to look at. But from what we can tell, it was sort of akin to a pilot agreement where they continued to pay the taxes appropriately. At some point, we probably would have turned the property over to them. We don't find the records of exactly the dollars, and so this was negotiated as a way to just sort of settle it and get it back to baseline.
So there is no possible chance that they ask for taxes back? That's all what I was getting to.
I don't
They
think so.
don't, they cannot.
Okay.
There's no process under state law by which they can do that.
Very good. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? And seeing none, we are looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and a second. Seeing no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it and the motion passes. Next up is item 3.5, which is resolution number 93 of 21-22, a resolution authorizing a budget transfer and appropriation in the 2021 budget to close out the Convention Center Debt Service Fund.
Hello again. This resolution before you is to close the Convention Center Debt Service Fund. It will transfer the balance of that fund, which is $165,000-ish, to the Harbor Center Marina Fund, which that has been in the budget several years, I think for the past 3 years to help support that fund. So this is just allocating the last of that money to the Harbor Center Marina Fund instead of waiting till next year. And then the receivable that is from the TID 16 Debt Service Fund will just be going to the regular General Obligation Debt Service Fund. If TID 16 ever becomes positive in the future, the Debt Service Fund then will get repaid that $382,000.
Alder Flick-Paneski?
Tell us TID 16.
TID 16 is a new TID that was created for the downtown apartment project, so it runs from the A Street Bridge up to Wisconsin Avenue, and it basically takes the A Street corridor.
And how old is TID 16?
TID 16, I believe, was created in 2016,
Okay,
so it's relatively new.
okay, thank you.
And the conference center fund was originally when Blue Harbor was built, the city funded the conference center and used the Blue Harbor room tax dollars to make the payments, the debt service payments on the conference center. So when the conference center was paid off in November of 2018, there was no new money going into the conference center fund. So that's why the request to come forward and close that fund made sense, because we had no more debt to pay.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, we are looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
And seeing no further discussion, All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye, the ayes have it, and the motion passes. Next up, we have item 3.6, which is resolution number 94 of 21-22. A resolution authorizing a budget transfer and appropriation in the 2021 budget regarding the remaining tax incremental District 11 debt service fund cash balance.
Thank you. This resolution is to close TID 11. I should say it is closed. This is to remove the rest of the balance, which is the city's portion of the increment that was left in the district when it closed. So the $989,375 will get transferred to the Capital Projects Fund for future land acquisitions.
Questions or comments? Go ahead.
It gets trapped, it moves to capital improvements? No.
Correct. Capital Projects Fund.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If none, we are looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Chair votes aye, the ayes have it, and the motion passes. Next up is 3.7, which is resolution number 95 of 21-22, a resolution authorizing the purchase of 2601 North 15th Street for future use by the city.
Thank you, Chair. So 2601 North 15th Street is the former Jackum, however you say that, hall, or the Litke Meat Market, as I've heard a lot of people say. You will recall that we had a previous conversation about this property in the past. It is just under an acre of land along 15th Street. The asking price was $249,000. The committee had given us approval in closed session to go up to $175,000. We offered $150,000. They countered to $200,000, and then we recountered at $165,000, which they accepted. As part of the process, it was determined that there is some tenants in the building, so the closing probably won't occur until February when proper notice is given for the tenants to vacate the property. But the intent is for us to use the American Rescue Plan Act for affordable housing. And once we get this property, would be to demolish the building and market it to potential affordable housing developers. We've got a couple concept plans similar to what's called a pocket neighborhood. And UW-Madison has contacted us as a student capstone project to maybe help us design something of that nature. So we will be working with the Economic Development Corporation after the new year to maybe bring a student project in to look at this site to see how we can make it cohesive with the rest of the neighborhood for future development plans. So it seems like there's interest out there, and it would make sense for us to try to purchase this, given that it's almost an acre of land in the central city.
Questions or comments? Alder Flicker-Paneski?
Will the city be responsible for relocating the tenants, or will the previous owner relocate the
The
tenants
previous
before
owner
we
will be
purchase?
doing that. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we are looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion to approve.
Oh.
Right.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye, the ayes have it, the motion passes. Next up is 3.8, resolution number 96 of 21-22, a resolution expressing the intent of the Common Council of the City of Sheboygan to exercise its police powers and levying a special assessment for the 2021 cost of operating and maintenance and maintaining the off-street parking facilities within the Parking Assessment District number 1.
In the essence of time, Chair, I would recommend that you take number 3.8, 3.9, 3.10, and 3.11, as they're all about the same, they're just different areas. So
like the
those of you that
suggestion.
have been around, and we've got all these wonderful parking staff and finance department staff here to answer any questions, but parking assessments are how we recoup our costs in downtown districts, particularly A Street, the Riverfront, South Pier, and South 12th Street. So the part of the process by state statute is to start out with this resolution of the intent to exercise police powers and levying special assessments against business owners within those districts. So this is the first step in the process. You'll see this a few times before this gets wrapped up, but it's a yearly fee towards the business owners for maintaining parking facilities within the downtown and the central business district, where under, in the central business district, the city provides the parking and the business owners pay their proportionate share of the parking, versus out in the rest of the city, they're required to have their own parking lots and maintain those under their expenses, and in this case, the city does that. So this is the first kind of process to lay that out.
Any questions or comments on 3.8 versus, or through rather, 3.11? Any objection? Oh, sorry.
We don't have a map of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so if we get to see this again, give us a map so we know where the parking districts
So
are.
parking district number 1 is A Street from,
No, it's 7th and 9th Streets on the east and west.
Here, come up.
Ontario on the north.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a loudspeaker.
Doing just fine.
Okay, parking district 1 is a rectangle. It's on the north, it's Ontario Avenue. On the south, it's Center Avenue. And on the east and west is 7th and 9th Streets.
Okay,
So that's parking district 1. Number 2 is riverfront.
okay,
Basically from the river and inland, Riverfront Drive. It's kind of an oddball shape. There's the old Shank building, the LTC Culinary Arts building. It's that building, and then all the properties along the river from the 8th Street Bridge up to where Pier 17 used to be.
great.
And then the South Pier, which is district number 4, is pretty much as it is, every business, or the South Pier entire district.
Okay.
And then South 12th Street is, there's 2 parking lots that are out in the Heritage Square area by the funeral home. And those are ours as well. And I'm not sure the exact boundary of that one, but it's mainly that central area of South 12th Street, south of Clare Avenue and north of Broadway.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Do we assess only the business owners, not also residentials, right?
correct.
Okay, and have we been doing this for a while?
Yeah, probably since the early 90s, maybe late 80s.
Yeah,
Okay, and these are parkings where there are no park meters, right?
No, this is areas that have parking meters, so when the assessments are calculated, the revenues that are collected from the meters are taken off of that, and then the snow plowing and maintenance charges beyond that then get assessed out to the property owners, if there's meters present.
Okay, thank you.
So there's a number of different formulas as to how they're assessed. Some of it is the square footage of the first floor. Some of it is the number of stalls that the zoning ordinance requires them to have per their occupancy or their seating capacity. So if it's a restaurant, they might pay more than a little retail store. So that's all calculated through the finance and development department to determine what those numbers need to be, but that's all outlined in the ordinance. So most of these businesses, unless they're really new in the last year, they see these charges on a yearly basis.
Is it fair to say that it is based on square feet of the business or not?
Sorry, can you
Square
repeat?
feet, is it based or related
In the
to square
downtown, it's
feet?
based on the first floor square footage. In the riverfront and South Pier, it's based on the zoning ordinance. And I don't know how 12th Street is. I think it's I don't know how they're assessed in 12th Street. Must be by the zoning ordinance.
And if you have questions on how it works, it's all contained in ordinance in chapter 106. So all of those questions are sort of laid out for you there in chapter 106.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? If not, any objections to taking up 3.8 and through 3.11 in one motion?
No objection.
All right, hearing no objections then, we are looking for a motion to approve. All four of them.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye, the ayes have it, and the motion passes. And we are on to item 3.12, which is resolution number 100 of 2122. A resolution authorizing the appropriate city officials to enter into a contract with Showcase Painting and Drywall LLC for exterior refinishing of the Shoreline Metro building. Take us away.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm assuming I'm the one presenting on this one. I don't see anybody behind me, so. So this is a request to, in a sense, spend money to paint our the external facility located at 608 South Commerce Street. We did some repairs over the last couple of years to get some longevity out of our building, and the exterior is in dire need of repair. We've actually allocated some CARES Act funding to this. The original project was estimated to be closer to $100,000. And once we bid it out, it came down to, one bidder was close to the 100,000, but the low bid came in right around $50,000. So this is the request to allocate funds towards this project, and it will be paid for using CARES Act funds. So there won't be any local share on this one.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
I just didn't hear what the last sentence. So which funds will be used for this?
This is CARES Act dollars that were allocated. I shouldn't say there is a small portion of local share funds that may be used for this, but the vast majority of it's all funded through CARES Act dollars at the 80 percentile level. So if there is a local share portion of this, it would be 10,000, and I believe we were going to authorize to use it out of the transit fund to complete this project. We do have some residual funds from some vehicles that we are looking to dispose of into the new year, and it's possible we'll be able to use those funds, retain those funds, and use them towards other capital projects. So if we do, in a sense, get rid of the 10 buses that we're purchasing next year, and we do have residual value on any of those vehicles, we can authorize, we can request to FTA to use those funds towards transit projects again. So there won't be, there can be very little cost to us as an entity to do this project. So, but this is the last one, I guess, major project on our facility to get some useful life out of it yet. We did have some structural issues over the years with our roof where there was leaking, and it has taken a toll on the exterior of the building. So part of the project is to actually restore some of the exterior walls and then paint over them as well. So.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we are looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Hi.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye, the ayes have it, and the motion passes. We are on to 3.13, 3.13. RC number 318 of 2021. Your committee, who was referred RC number 311-1920 by Finance and Personnel Committee, to whom was referred RO number 91 of 1920 by City Clerk, submitting a notice of claim from Mary Summersberger for alleged injuries sustained when she tripped on a pothole while walking on Sunnyside Avenue.
Yeah, so this was a notice of a claim only, not a claim, and so we had to hold it in committee until the time had passed after she filed the notice of claim. And she has not filed a claim, and the time has passed for her to do that, and so we are filing. We won't be seeing a claim on this, or if we do, we'll be able to defend it because it's too late.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
Is it made clear that a notice of claim is not a claim?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Is it explained that a notice of claim is not the claim? As a non-attorney, I'd think if I filed the notice of claim, I'd filed it.
It was filed as a notice of claim, not as a claim. Yeah, so the difference basically is a notice of a claim just tells us that I might have a claim against you, and you have a very limited amount of time to do that. The claim is actually when you're saying, here is the dollar amounts. There are some people, a lot of people who are not represented will file the claim without ever filing a notice of claim, and as long as they do it within the timeframes, they can do that. Some people will file a notice of a claim, in essence by saying, I don't know what the amount is going to be. People who are represented, as Ms. Summersberger was, usually it's pretty clear what they're filing. Every once in a while, this is not one of those, every once in a while we'll send a letter to somebody who filed something telling them we're taking this as a notice of claim, not as a claim, because people will mix that, they'll send something to us saying, I want you to pay my money and whatever else I get later, and we'll tell them, well, that's a notice of a claim, and we'll wait until you file the claim to act on it.
Okay, thank you very much for that explanation.
Sure.
Any further discussion? If not, we are looking for a motion to file this one.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion passes. And we are on to 3.14, which is resolution number 101 of 2122, a resolution accepting and adopting two changes to the 2021 through 2023 collective bargaining agreement between the city of Sheboygan, or rather between the Sheboygan Firefighters Local 483 and the city of Sheboygan pursuant to the memorandum of understanding between the parties.
So this is a correction to the bargaining agreement from the 2020, January 2021 to 2023. We had two changes that needed to be addressed. One is that there is a classification of employee that doesn't exist anymore, and so that paragraph is really irrelevant. And then the second change is to ensure that our language, which is about the retirement and FLISA compensatory time, is compliant with the law. So those are the two changes. Both parties, both management and the firefighters union, are in agreement that these changes should have been made in this agreement prior to its ratification. So we wanted to just make sure that this is reflected through an MOU.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Alder Flicky-Paneski?
Okay, so the provided employee gives a minimum 30-day notice of retirement, et cetera, replaced some other language in that document?
So the current contract reads as follows. Provided an employee gives a minimum of 30-day notice of retirement, monies earned from FLISA compensatory time from acting out of grade and holdback will be paid in the calendar year of the retirement notice. So we are removing from acting out of grade and holdback. Just put that all in together so that anything that is considered FLISA compensatory time will be paid in the year that, of the retirement notice. It's a clarification and to be compliant.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, we are looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye, the ayes have it, and the motion passes. Our next meeting will be on December 13th of 2021, and with that, we are looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjournment, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Chair votes aye, the ayes have it, and we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
You.